It is 6 minutes after 11 o'clock. I'm Martin Anderson. Hope you had a good weekend. Glad you are tuned in to WNCW. Glad you tuned in today. We got live stuff happening with the Motet live in Studio B in the 3 o'clock hour. They're playing in Asheville tomorrow night, and they got a big session set up in Studio B. And speaking of Asheville and, well, Black Mountain specifically, it's the new one from Floating Action coming your way for New Tunes at 2. And we've got some fun this hour for sure. It is Aaron Burdett joining me here in the Air Studio. He is your guest DJ. Welcome back to Spindale, Aaron.
Thanks, Martin. Great to be here.
You've been down in Studio B a number of times over the years. How many times?
I don't know. This is less nerve-wracking than the live slots, though.
Okay, right, where you got your guitar, got to make sure it sounds right.
Yeah, exactly.
Make sure the bandmates are all in tune and all that.
Right.
Well, you all make it sound so easy when you do it.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
We just start our sessions there. You roll through songs and we chat, and then you're off to your gig. And, well, this is kind of the same, only, you don't have to worry about your instruments. We just spinning some tunes and having fun talking about music. That sounds pretty nice to me.
I can dig it.
So we both live in Saluda. We will disclose that, and we've known each other for years, and I've sure enjoyed seeing the Aaron Burdett Band and solo and duo incarnations over the years, and I bet we'll still see that now and again. But last June, you got connected with that band, the Steep Canyon Rangers, the boys from Brevard and Asheville.
I did. Excuse me. It's been about been about a year now.
Yeah. It was about a year that they got in touch with you. Woody Platt, the lead singer and founder of the band. Well, I say the lead singer. I feel like he started off that way, but in talking with other members of your band, they've kind of clarified that, well, over the last few years, it really got spread out. You know, Woody would sing some, and Mike Ashworth joining the band, he sang some. Barrett is the bassist, terrific singer. And, of course, Graham, one of your primary songwriters, he sings a lot as well. So it was really a number of folks singing, but Woody left, and they wanted another member, and, well, it just came upon you. They asked you, you thought it over, talked to the wife, and said, okay.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say you had a little bit to do with that too, Martin.
They asked some of us for some an A-list, if you will, and your name did come up.
I'm happy to be on the A-list.
Yeah, it was fun to talk with them, Barrett Smith in particular, about, who are some folks? They were looking for folks from, here in the Carolinas, from out west, wherever, just someone to kind of fit that wouldn't, of course, quote, replace one single person like Woody, but just to be a good addition for the band. And after some conversation, it was like, well, there's Aaron Burdett. He loves bluegrass. He's a great picker. He's a great singer and songwriter. You got the call from them, and it seems like within just less than a month, you were like on stage with them out at the Hollywood Bowl with 4th of July fireworks and Steve Martin and the works.
Yeah, it was a whole thing pretty quickly there. It has been about a year. They the first contact I had with them was sort of mid-June, and then July 4th weekend I was at the Hollywood Bowl with them in front of 17,000, 18,000 people. It was Steve Martin and Martin Short and the Philharmonic behind us, no less. So it was a lot, really, really fast.
Yeah, it's something for us music fans who maybe aren't musicians who perform on stage to think about like that. That's pretty significant. You've been playing your own music. You're almost exclusively your own original tunes with your band over the years, and then all of a sudden, in the span of a few weeks, you're learning tunes of another very well accomplished band, pretty intricate tunes. Learning these other ones, and you just hit the ground running. And, I'd love to talk more about how this first year with the Rangers has been as we listen to some more music. And I should mention, you Steep Canyon Rangers are playing this Saturday at the Salvage Station in Asheville. John Stickley Trio, and then you guys. That'll be fun.
Yeah, that'll be great. We've been working hard on the set list for that, and we're really excited to play Asheville.
And then, of course, there's the Mountain Song Festival in Brevard in September. Brevard kind of being the other hometown of the Rangers. Well, let's dig into the music of Aaron Burdett, though. You grew up in Saluda, right? A native of Saluda.
I did. We moved there when I was 4, so it almost counts as native.
Yeah. And like most of us, our parents influenced our music collections. in some of our cases, it was our parents' music that made us decide to go in a very different direction than our parents. But in your case, I happen to know your parents, and they have good taste in music.
Yes, definitely.
And your dad had a good record collection in particular?
He did, and still does. Yeah. And as I started getting interested in music and being able to handle the vinyl albums safely and properly, I really dug around in there and found a lot of really cool stuff that I don't know, just kind of set me off on this path, I think.
Cool. Did you ever scratch any of the records because you were too young and not able to? Okay.
Never.
All right.
Never.
Whenever a record skips, I get this fear in me because I had an older brother and he would, hit on me when I would accidentally jump too much and skip the needle.
It's probably your fault.
Absolutely. To this day, I still. Well, anyway, we've got some of these old tunes for this first set. Tunes from your dad's record collection that influenced you. What do you want to start with here?
I always say the first thing that really woke me up to music and songs was Cat Stevens. That Teaser and the Firecat album. There were a bunch of songs off of that I really went really deep into, but I remember one of them being this one I picked out, Bitter Blue.
All right. And we've got another significant song of yours from another singer-songwriter on the way that is also very significant in WNCW history. But first, Cat Stevens with Aaron Burdett here, WNCW.
Like you own my life. You never made any sacrifice. Demons there on my trail, standing at the crossroads of hell. I look to the left, I look to the right. Hands that grab me on every side. Think I got my price, which I'll sell, all that is mine. Think money rules when all else fails. Go sell your soul, keep your shell. I'm trying to protect what I keep inside. All the reasons why I live my life. I say the devil, he walking mad. He a fool, he a liar, conjuring a thief. Try to tell you what you want, try to tell you what you need. Standing at the point, road across you down. What is at your back? Which way do you turn? Who will come find you first? Devils are your gods. folks think you run my life. I should be willing to compromise. Say all you demons go back to hell. Save my soul, save myself. 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 Save my soul, save myself.
I'll never be your beast of burden. My back is broad, but it's a
So Rolling Stones on WNCW. Some selections this hour from Aaron Burdett, our guest, who is guest DJ. And yeah, we're talking about your most of your dad's record collection growing up in Saluda, Aaron, and being influenced by his mighty fine-sounding collection based on what we heard in that set. Rolling Stones following Tracy Chapman and Crossroads, and Cat Stevens' Bitter Blue to start off from Teaser and the Firecat. I mean, who hasn't been influenced by the Rolling Stones, right?
I don't know. They've been around a while.
They have. Keith Richards, he's been around even longer.
That's exactly right.
But yeah, something about that.
Yeah,
Dad
was a big Stones fan. He's got all that stuff on vinyl, and I just remember it playing in the house a lot growing up.
Cool. And Tracy Chapman, that song Crossroads, a lot of folks are maybe aware that that was the very first song we played on the air. We went on the air in October of '89, and the late Bill Baczynski started with that tune, and Crossroads was the name of this music mix for a while. And I guess you all
as legend has it.
As legend has it, anyway. I don't know if we have recordings of that very first day, but we'll go on faith from the oral histories here. And I guess you got all listened to WNCW from late '80s onward too.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I say often that I think a lot of my musical taste and education came because of this radio station. Just through the years. Going across the mountain in my Boone years when I was kind of getting heavy into bluegrass and old time stuff, and it's just always sort of been in the background.
Yeah, I've always heard a good bit of a bluegrass influence in your work, the Aaron Burdett groups and various. Sometimes a little less, sometimes a little bit more, and then when it turned out that you were going to be part of Steep Canyon Rangers, it was just like, well, yeah, that makes sense, because he's totally. I remember you telling stories about seeing Doc Watson back up in Boone back in the day, and your bluegrass influence, and it all just kind of blended pretty well. But neat to hear some of these other influences too, Rolling Stones and Cat Stevens and all. And what about actually like starting to make music when you were a kid, learning instruments? How did that come about?
Well, I had I took some piano lessons for a few years. I don't remember exactly when, probably when I was 10, 11, 12. And I remember singing, I remember singing a little bit at church when I was 8 or 10, and it was clear that I could sing. And I think I had a bass guitar from the junk store, from JC's junk store that was in Saluda back then. That was my very first anything. And I didn't have an amp, but I would put the headstock against the wall in the bedroom, and that makes it vibrate. That turns into your amp.
Yeah.
So I could hear it better. And then I got an acoustic guitar gifted to me, an old Yamaha acoustic, when I was, 12 or 13. And that's when I really started learning chords and trying to play along with things, just playing by ear mostly.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the way your mother tells it, I've spoken with her somewhat recently, and she volunteered that you were taking lessons from maybe an instrument teacher or two, and in their opinion, you kind of surpassed them with their abilities, and they were like, he needs someone that can teach him more, because he's starting to teach me a thing or two.
That's a very generous description of how it went. As I recall, I kind of got fired from the piano lessons just because I was not real good at doing what I was asked to do, but would do something else. I'd play by ear a lot, and I could almost hear what he played for me during the lesson and figure it out by ear over the course of the week. But I really wasn't that into reading the music and reading the notes and doing it quite right. And I remember I'd go back and he'd say, well, and I'd play what I was supposed to have been learning. And he'd say, well, and that's nice, but it's not really what's on the page there. And that fell apart after a while.
That sounds like a little more like the rebellious nature of the Rolling Stones influence.
Maybe so.
Well, let's keep revisiting some of the music you kind of grew up with, your dad Alan and all, and we're getting more into the what became the singer-songwriter influence of yours, which is of course pretty strong.
Yes.
And so we're going to go to Mr. Hyatt now.
Yeah, I think that's where to go. I mean, it was really hard to pick out stuff for this hour because there's so many things that fit in between these in my chronology of influences. Like there was like David Wilcox was really big for me when I was in my early teens because I was learning to play guitar and he just did these crazy things with an instrument. And then having gone to see him, he would take you on this real journey in these songs that would sometimes be 8, 10, 15 minutes long where he'd tell a story. And I just remember that's where I really started to get into the experience of songs and where they could take you. And then I think also through Dad is where I ran into John Hyatt, who I just always really resonated with me. His writing and the various productions, various albums, but I just always, I don't know, I just liked there's like an honesty and an authenticity. Doesn't always make sense, and it can be really quirky. But he really has meant a lot to me over the years.
All right. Shall we listen to some of him?
Why
then?
don't we? Do you have some?
I do right here.
Oh.
WNCW.
A moment of steel, a dry-eyed house. Did he say goodbye to you, or did you kick him out? I know you're not afraid to go alone, but this was a marriage of spirit, flesh and bone. Now what you gonna do when the planets shift? What you gonna do? Gonna steady your wrist and beat all over the Milky Way. The stars in your eyes look red today. Cry love, the tears of an angel, the tears of a girl, are spilling all over your heart from above. Cry love, cry love. Twist of a woman in his hand, but he was a little boy, not a man. You loved him stronger than he could feel. Yeah, he was wrapped up in himself like an orange peel. Now what you gonna do with the booze and the blush? Or what you gonna do when there's no rush? Cop a little misery at the corner store. Well, one day that train of pain won't stop no more. Cry love, the tears of an angel, the tears of a girl, spilling all over your heart from above. Cry love, cry love, cry love. Throwing up ashes on the floor. If this is a lesson in love, well, what's it for? The heart won't remember the burning fire the next time you feel the flame of desire. Cry love, the tears of an angel, the tears of a girl, spilling all over your heart from above. Cry love, cry love, cry love, cry love. The tears of an angel, the tears of a girl, spilling all over your heart from above. Cry love, cry love, cry
and silver string. I can tell by the mark he left you were in his dream. Ah, child of countless trees. Ah, child of boundless seas. What you are and what you're meant to be speaks his name, though you were born to me. Born to me, Cassidy. Lost now on the country miles in his Cadillac. I can tell by the way you smile, he's rolling back. Come wash the nighttime clean. Come grow the scorched ground green. Blow the horn and tap the tambourine. Close the gap of the darkness in between you and me, Cassidy. Quick beats in an icy heart. A catch cold draws a coffin cart. There he goes, and now here she starts to hear her cry. Fly to the seabirds, scattered like lost words. Wheel to the storm and fly. Fare thee well now, let your life proceed by its own design. Nothing to tell now, let your words be yours, I'm done with mine. Fare thee well now, let your life proceed by its own design. Nothing to tell now, let the words be yours, I'm done with mine.
We're listening to the Freight Hoppers on WNCW with selections from Aaron Burdett, our guest DJ here at WNCW. Aaron Burdett, I kind of thought you'd be a fan of some good old time.
Oh, definitely. When I first got to Boone, actually I've left out a whole sort of heavy metal phase here in my teen years, and I'd kind of eased out of that and that dead and improv. And just some of the energy they have, and but then when I got to Boone, I had this chance encounter with Doc Watson in a farmhouse there that it literally changed my life. It just pointed me down this other road, and that energy and like what the Freight Hoppers right then it was more energy than that heavy metal that I loved when I was in my early teens. It was just so bright and uplifting and joyful. I just really got into that, particularly the old time, and which sort of then leads to bluegrass. You know, that's where I got into David Greer and Norman Blake and just Tony Rice and all those pickers that were playing acoustic guitars with at least as much energy as any of that heavy metal I liked when I was 14 years old. I just love that stuff.
Well, I can certainly hear that mountain music influence in your work. Most all of your tunes, you know, sometimes, like I said earlier, sometimes just a little bit squinting, you can hear it.
Yeah.
Other times it's like, oh yeah, well look at that, they're full-on bluegrass arrangement. So were you like playing in like various jams, old time and bluegrass jams up in Boone back in the 90s?
There were a bunch of us that would, a bunch of songwriters. We would do songwriter evenings. A lot of us up there. Lazy Birds were big at the time, and Snake Oil Medicine Show. And I played a lot with Andy Pond, the banjo player from Snake Oil, and we played a bunch of gigs together, and just kind of all around. It was just everywhere right then.
Yeah. We're talking with Aaron Burdett here on WNCW. He's guest DJ this hour. He's, of course, nowadays in the Steep Canyon Rangers, and they have a show at the Salvage Station in Asheville on Saturday with the John Stickley Trio.
That's right. It's going to be great.
I bet John Stickley and the members of the Rangers, you probably crossed paths with them over these years and maybe didn't know each other, but you probably saw each other play a time or two.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
House shows, restaurants, bagel shops, whatever.
Bagel shops, etc.
And cool. So that'll be fun to see you two acts at the Salvage Station on Saturday. We should also mention that the Rangers have a new album coming out in September, Morning Shift.
That'll release right at Mountain Song.
All right. The Mountain Song Festival, the annual festival at the Brevard Music Center that the Steep Canyon Rangers host. And the lineup is up for this September. And so your album's coming out then. And we're going to debut a new song from the Rangers in just a little bit before we get to noon. Gosh, it's already about 16 minutes away from wrapping up the hour already. Time flies when you're having fun. WNCW receives support from the Orange Peel in Asheville, announcing Hiss Golden Messenger November 11th. Information available online at theorangepeel.net. WNCW is a media sponsor. And we get support from Wicked Weed Brewing and Worthwhile Sounds, proud to announce the inaugural AVL Fest, a music and arts festival taking place throughout Asheville area venues August 3rd through 6th. Tickets and information at avlfest.com. We should mention also, Aaron, that this playlist you've assembled for this hour, you've got an expanded version up on your Spotify.
Yeah, I kind of got, it was so hard to pare it down that actually, based on your suggestion, I went ahead and made a longer playlist, a Spotify playlist, and there's a button on my AaronBurdett.com homepage website to get to that. It's been kind of fun to slap things in there that as I remember them, and go back and listen. So there's a few hours on there, and I'm going to keep putting songs on it as I think about them.
All right. So check out Aaron's Spotify playlist of his influences, and there's a link at AaronBurdett.com, I guess.
Correct.
It is? AaronBurdett.com. All right. So we've moved from the Saluda upbringing into the Boone era now, and we're into the great old time and bluegrass sounds now. Who's this guy, Norman?
Norman Blake, man. He's that's a tall fella in my book.
I've been hanging out uptown in that low-down rain, watching Good Time Charlie friends is driving me insane. Down on shady Charlotte Street, the green lights look red. Wish I was back home on the farm in my feather bed. Get myself a rocking chair to see if I could lose them thin dime, hard time, hell on Church Street blues. Found myself a paper friend, read yesterday's news, folded up page 21, stuck it in my shoes, gave me a nickel to the poor, my good turn for today, folded up my old billfold and threw it far away. And I got myself a rocking chair to see if I could lose them thin dime, hard time, hell on Church Street blues. Lord, I wish I had some guitar strings, old Black Diamond brand. I'd string up this old Martin box and go and join some band. But I guess I'm gonna stay right here, just pick and sing a while. Try to make me a little change and give them folks a smile. And give myself a rocking chair to see if I can lose them thin dime, hard time, hell on Church Street blues. Give myself a rocking chair to see if I can lose them thin dime, hard time, hell on Church Street blues.
I can see that train a-comin', watch that big light shine this way, hear that whistle softly blowing. Lord, it's been an awful day. I watched him leave that Friday morning, it was in the month of May. I told my son to be a good soldier, but return again someday. He was returned just 1 year later, but I'll not forget that day. The baggage car is where he traveled, in a casket where he lay. Train man, keep your whistle blowing, make it moan and make it whine. You make a man feel mighty lonesome with a memory like mine. In that little country graveyard on a dark and dreary day, they placed a flag upon the casket and the casket in the grave. I couldn't stand it any longer, and I knew not how to pray. I cried, oh Lord, I hate to leave him all alone beneath that clay. Train man, keep your whistle blowing, make it moan and make it whine. You make a man feel mighty lonesome with a memory like mine, just like mine. him as a baby. I can hear him call my name. I can feel him under fire and see him rising from the flame. Lord, if I could, I'd trade places. I would gladly give my all. I'd wrap that flag around me like a blanket and listen for the clouds to fall. Train man, keep your whistle blowing, make it moan and make it whine. You make a man feel mighty lonesome with a memory like mine. Train man, keep your whistle blowing, make it moan and make it whine. You make a man feel mighty lonesome with a memory like mine.
Tim O'Brien, Daryl Scott on WNCW from that Real-Time album. Another fine pick from you, Aaron Burdett, our guest DJ this hour on WNCW.
Yeah.
Tell us how you encountered this collaboration.
A friend named Mary Ellen gave me this CD back right after it came out. As I said, I was playing with Andy Pond a lot. We were playing duo shows, and this thing just blew my mind. Hearing what two people could do, and I mean, it's recorded live. That's why it's called Real Time. It's just two incredibly talented musicians playing, push record and play the song, and it still kind of blows my mind. They're both so good, and it's also the first time I ever started thinking, well, wait a minute, maybe I could do this. That's just a couple people with instruments. Could I ever do that? And it took a while, but apparently so.
Yeah, make a living at it and everything.
Yeah,
cool. I know you've got some other Tim O'Brien songs that you've loved over the years, and that's probably on that Spotify
it is.
playlist.
There's a few from that Traveler CD that really meant a lot to me. With Casey Dreesen on there. Just I listened to that one solo, I don't know, hundreds of times. One of those Casey solos. It was so good.
Cool. And AaronBurdett.com has a link to his Spotify playlist that has a lot more than what we can fit into this hour, where we're also wanting to talk about some of this stuff and some of your upcoming projects, like you and your Steep Canyon Rangers, who you've been with now for almost exactly a year, and you've played the Hollywood Bowl with Steve Martin. That must have been crazy, and then all these other shows around the country, and you recently recorded an album up in Batcave with Daryl Scott.
Yes. So 20 years later, I'm working with the guy.
Yeah.
It's really something. Yes, we rented out an inn there, a beautiful spot there in Batcave, and just stayed there for the week with just the band and Daryl and Dave, the engineer, and put together this album. Just all living there and eating meals together and worked it out. It was really neat.
And so it's got some songs where Barrett sings and some where Mike Ashworth does. I think I've heard Graham sing a song or two, and then you've got a couple, three as well. Huh?
Yes, we tend to split up all those duties. I mean, that's one of the neat things about a Rangers show right now is you really never know who's going to be singing what next, or who's going to be featured next, or what duo or trio is going to be featured next. And that's what's happening. Everybody's sort of doing a little bit of everything.
As I mentioned earlier, the learning curve for you must have been pretty steep, pardon the pun, pretty intense, learning all those new to you Rangers tunes. I mean, I guess you knew some of them a little bit, but to actually learn the intricacies of them.
No, I didn't.
Not even, yeah.
No, it has been a steep learning curve, and it's been a lot of feeling like I'm just right on the edge of being able to make it happen for a long time, but really starting to get our legs under us. Everybody kind of coalescing around and this new ensemble, and it's really good right now, and we're really happy with it. So still learning, but faking it pretty good.
Good, good. Oh, that's really exciting. Of course, they have a learning curve as well to learn the songs of a new member of the band and the way you form your song structures. You know, maybe it's a little different than what Graham and Woody Platt have done and such. And so a few Aaron Burdett songs, or at least co-writes and whatnot, are on this new one, Morning Shift, coming out in September. Let us debut one of these new tunes, and this is one where you sing, so a song that you brought to the table, and this is based on a lot of what we've been talking about this hour, the learning curve.
It is. This song's called Deep End. It was less than 3 weeks from the first call from them to that earlier described Hollywood Bowl experience, and it was a lot. We went to a barbecue up in the hills that Sunday, and I walked up to the door and said, "Hey, I'm Aaron," and the fellow's wife said, "Oh, you're Aaron. You're the guy who jumps in the deep end." I said, yes, ma'am, I am. And so this song, Deep End, kind of started there.
All right, great. It's a debut of this new Rangers tune with Aaron Burdett here, WNCW.
Hung up the phone and I hit the ground running. Gotta jump like you want it when the good things are coming. Packed up my dirty laundry right off the floor, batten down the hatches and locked the front door. Bought a suit so I'd look real good and pointed out west toward Hollywood. I'm the guy who jumps in the deep end, find out quick if I'm sinking or swimming. Long ago through caution to the wind, and I'm the guy who jumps in the deep end. I've been charging ahead since I was a child. Grab a tiger by the tail, hold on tight. Doesn't take but a crack in the doorway, I'll be pushing through, running blindly. What's up ahead is better than what's behind me. You say the word and watch out, I'm coming. I'm the guy who jumps in the deep end, find out quick if I'm sinking or swimming. Long ago through caution to the wind, and I'm the guy who jumps in the deep end. I've never known when to stop. Here I come, ready or not, like a bull in a china shop. Take no counsel for the moves I make. Stand back, make room, get out of my way. I'm the guy who jumps in the deep end, find out quick if I'm sinking or swimming. Long ago through caution to the wind, and I'm the guy who jumps in the deep end. Deep end. Deep end.
And that is a debut here at WNCW Spindale, WSIF Wilkesboro, the Deep End from Steep Canyon Rangers. Great job, Aaron.
Yeah, thanks.
I love hearing you sing with those guys, the Steep Canyon Rangers, and that is indeed based on a true story. Huh?
It is real life.
One of a few songs that you sing with the guys on the new album, Morning Shift, coming out in September. Looking forward to it. We hope to have the Steep Canyon Rangers here to Studio B. Can you help make that happen?
I'll talk to some people.
Now that you're in the band, you got some connections.
I'm the low guy on the totem pole, Martin.
You're going to be the new guy for a while.
Okay.
I was here at WNCW for, 5 or 6 years. Anyway, you got your show this Saturday at the Salvage Station in Asheville.
Yeah, that's going to be great.
Good. Well, welcome back to do a little hometown performance there Saturday, and then, of course, Mountain Song Festival in September in Brevard. Fun hour. Thanks for all the great
thank
tunes.
you, Martin. That's been a lot of fun.
We'll let David Greer have the last note or two. Of course, he was an influence on you. I can hear that.
Definitely.
All right. David Greer, Impulsive. Roland's up next. Thanks for tuning in to WNCW and our guest DJ, Aaron Burdett.